Hello, everyone. We are live on YouTube today. We're going to be discussing the markets here in eToro. With us, I'm the senior market analyst. My name is Matti Greenspan. We are live on YouTube today. We're going to be discussing there. My name is Matti Greenspan. I'm the senior market analyst in eToro. Here in front of me is Mr. Dennis Afstanat. He is our regional manager in Germany. This is Bolos Shakur and Ihab Kader. Also on the line with us, Mr. Matthew Newton in the United Kingdom.
Hello.
And, Gennady in our Russian desk. And special guest today is Claudio, who also goes by the username of Equities Fund. He's a popular investor here on eToro.
Yeah, hello everybody, and thanks for inviting me.
Wonderful. So I actually wanted to hand the floor directly to Claudio to begin with.
Just before you go on, am I the only one on? I'm the only one on camera on YouTube, I think.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. We're all in like smaller. Showing pretty small, and he's the.
It depends how the Hangouts is going to work here. Actually, that should do the trick. Now the Hangouts actually should just pick up whoever's talking, so that'll just give the floor direct. And then I've got my screen share up so we can see whatever markets are relevant. So Claudio, I understand that there is some very important political updates in Italy at the moment. Could you tell us about it?
Yes. So hello everybody. Thanks for inviting me. And yes, as you know, next weekend we have the Italian elections. So very important for us because after the last 5 years, and it's a very important step for our economics. So first of all, what I can say is that in my opinion, whatever the results will not impact worldwide market because Italy is so it's involved also. Yes, it's involved in G8, etc. But I think it's not the power to impact the worldwide ever the results. Maybe will be a little impact, little maybe more, a little. There will be a very impact for the Italian economy. That's sure. As you know, we have three political parties in Italy.
Mm-hmm.
And all the issue that we have that these three political parties has more or less 25% of votes. So they are very at the same level, but not enough to have the majority for a government in Italy. So that's the big problem now in Italy. And maybe the results will be some weeks and maybe few months of uncertainties. In particular, because one of these three parties, there is a populist parties that, as you know, maybe 5 stars Movimento 5 Stelle, that it's a populist party, so it's a very interrogative point for Italy and Europe, for the European Central Bank, because it's new from the opposition in the current government, but maybe it has some chance to win the elections.
So you're breaking up a bit here, but I want to just recap. So what you're saying is that there's 3 main parties in Italy, and each of them has about 25% of the vote. Yes. So there's actually really no possibility of coming out of this with any sort of majority government.
However, recently in the UK was reported that also about 25% of the people really aren't yet decided what they're going to vote for. And we in Germany, we had a similar situation that like a more right-winged non-European party was gaining more and more power, and actually the results were quite high compared to what was expected, and quite not as low as predicted in the polls. So I don't know, in Germany people were even saying, yeah, I'm going to vote for Merkel, but then they made their cross on the AfD, which is like the more right-wing.
On the other...
Right? So, and we saw the same thing in Austria happening now, where also we have this anti-Europe propaganda being pushed, right? So I think if Italy follows in the direction of Austria, we might see quite some changes in the euro-dollar section, just as a first response.
Yeah, but yes, there will be maybe some impact on the euro-dollar, but none of these three main parties are, until of them are in line with the union. So the story that the populist parties, they have changed their mind. So no one of these three parties are anti-Europe. So that's very important. The problem is that they will not have the majority.
The five-star movement.
Yeah, it's no more anti-Europe.
They've changed their stance.
Sorry?
They've changed their stance. They're not anti-European anymore. Huh. So
yes, correct. They were very anti-Europe in the past.
Okay, I'm looking at your we're looking at your portfolio here, Claudio. Is there any?
They would like to propose some.
Is there any change that you're going to be making to your portfolio whatsoever due to the elections?
Could you repeat, please?
I said we're just looking at your portfolio, but I started copying it myself recently. So excellent stats and
he answered.
So no change whatsoever to your portfolio. You don't feel that this can have any sort of impact on the euro dollar or any of the stocks that you're holding? No. Okay. Cool.
Particular for my portfolio, there will be no changes. So because the companies, the Italian companies in my portfolio are very little. So it's so much. Also because it's a long-term strategy.
Okay. And so the most likely thing that we're going to get from this election is a big salad where, as Bilo said, nobody's happy, nobody gets what they want, and some sort of either a grand coalition or lots of bargaining and eventual movement of some person who's not elected.
And also to add something else, so the other very of uncertainty is the voting system. So that's another point that will be a factor in the match will be played in the coalitions. All of the three systems will get more or less the same votes, and the result defined by the coalition with the very minor parties, with one of these three main parties.
Understood. What if there is a surprise? What if, I don't know,
with a five-star Italy,
five-star movement is able to gather some votes from London.
Two more votes comes here, five-star Italy,
and they get instead of 25%, they move on 45%. They can pick up another small party for a coalition. Would that move the markets at all?
Yeah, so they maybe will get the majority of the votes, maybe, but they are not. They don't want to coalition with other parties. That's the problem.
So even if we get the
maybe
most radical party, they're still
They want to stay in their position and just make
They don't
everybody's
want to.
life hell.
Oh boy, oh boy. So they're just completely anti-establishment. We're just
Yeah,
gonna,
so
we're just gonna ruin the
maybe
system.
So all they basically say in Italian words is like, io non sono d'accordo. I don't agree.
yeah, maybe the yeah, more or less. But so not the other part to be the only one. So, but maybe they will not get votes to have the majority. So maybe the results will be that one of the current parties that is at the government now, or the Forza Italia, where the lead, which is the leader is Berlusconi, as you know, they maybe are ready to have coalition with mine.
Okay. And would that have a positive impact on the euro?
Positive, maybe the only results that will have less volatility of the markets and maybe a tiny positive impact on if the party that will win is the same government now. That's maybe the best solution for the markets.
Okay. So wish you lots of success in the election. We'll certainly be watching, but from what it seems like here, we don't have Brexit-style market momentum to deal with in the aftermath of this. Cool. So let's move on then. What else do we have in the markets? I understand that Angela Merkel was trying to put together a coalition. We did see some trading opportunities on that.
We for sure did. I mean, in Germany, obviously, there's quite an interesting situation that many people are voting for the old parties of Merkel and of the middle wing SPD, but somehow they will end up, or they end up in a coalition. But this, on the other hand, got a lot of public upset responses, because for some reason Merkel is recently less and less popular. So it's quite an interesting thing. I think we might even, if that continues, it will be actually very volatile and make her resign at some point. That some of the
Angela Merkel okay.
There's like more and more voices coming up, also in the political parties. Also,
she's been in power for how long? It's been 10 years already.
Yeah, exactly. It's she has been basically in power for some people would say way too long, because she's not so connected to the younger generations.
Right.
However, she has done also quite some interesting movements in Europe and moving Europe closer together. So there's obviously always a both sides of the coin.
Okay, cool. For those of you watching on YouTube, go ahead, leave a comment. If you got any questions you want us to talk about, some market that you're interested in, let us know. This is your chance. Matthew, I'd like to hand it over to you. I understand that there was some interesting updates as far as the Brexit and as far as Theresa May's opposition. They've been very loud lately in the news, but I hadn't had a chance to delve into it. What's going on over there?
Well, I guess the reality is starting to set in a little bit. You know, we haven't moved anywhere. There's still no progress whatsoever. You know, we've had Boris Johnson making some comments this morning. Corbyn actually had quite I say he had they've had a big change in his view. You know, he's talking about staying in and having, I guess, a conditional deal to try and move things forward. So yesterday, you know, what he came out with was quite significant. But you know, at the end of the day, Theresa May's in a situation where she's not going to get sacked or going to, you know, going to lose her position because nobody wants that position. You know, she's safe from that point of view. If she was going to go, she would have gone after the last election when she lost, you know, but it's nobody wants that position. And neither side is coming out with any meaningful research on whether staying or leaving. You know, there's no research from either side contributing as to, you know, what's the best deal. So we're really in a bit of limbo. But, you know, we've had some talk from Davis recently. They're talking about withholding the payment if they don't do a trade deal, citing Article 50, saying, you know, if the future relationship has to come onto the table. But you know what they want is unrealistic. They want their cake, and they want to have their cake and eat it. As one journalist I follow said with Theresa May, her recently she proposed 3 baskets, and it was like 3 cakes and eating it. You know, I think total illusion, or was I think it was Barnier who came out, or I can't remember which one said it, but anyway, we're not getting anywhere. And the fact of the matter is, you know, even in the last year, the pound has been low. It's not improved exports. The main export market is the EU, and you know, there's not that much investment. So I guess if you want to take a speculative look at it, you know, the pound has strengthened over the last few months. What is to happen over the next year? You know, we've got, say, if we take cable, you know, the Powell came out with some pretty bullish comments. The dollar started moving again. You know, if they start raising rates, the UK are also considering raising rates, but they're raising rates into what could be a weak economy. And if they continue to make no progress over the next 12 months, and, you know, like I said, reality is starting to hit in. The pocket is starting to get hit for a lot of people within the UK. So we may see some opportunities with the pound, even though if the UK start raising rates. But if speculators or, you know, people start to think that the UK is in a bit of trouble, then, you know, maybe we might see you know, the pound trend down for a little while with a strengthening dollar. And also, if the markets get a little bit rocky from the US raising rates, maybe GBP, JPY might be one to keep an eye out on as well.
So, so here on the screen we have the British pound against the US dollar since the Brexit referendum, and you can see the large candlestick down. And it looks like we've recovered a lot of the ground already. I mean, we're far off of the lows. But you mentioned that the Bank of England was considering raising the interest rates now.
Inflation's going up, you know, so they will be faced with those questions with the, you know, in the coming year for sure.
So that's basically you're saying that's a hedge against inflation. They're trying to keep the inflation under control. The only real way that they have to do that is by raising the interest rates.
Yeah, but into a very weak economy.
It's a tough spot. Any interesting things that you feel that can be added to a long-term portfolio? Maybe as I don't know, hedge against inflation, or something that that might have some prospects at the moment.
Nothing coming to mind as a hedge. I mean, the FTSE is starting to diverge a little bit from economic indicators. So I don't know. I mean, depending on what your view is on UK stocks, again, if they can't come to any sort of trade deal or any sort of progress in the next year, you know, the clock is ticking on Article 50. So if you're getting bearish on the UK economy, there might be a shorting opportunity there, but it really depends. You know, businesses have Theresa, I think it was chairman of the business association, I think, was criticizing Theresa May, you know, because she was saying, you know, prepare for, or the government, not really Theresa May, but prepare for Brexit. But prepare for what? No one knows what's going to happen. So again, things have been a little bit sanguine of late, but it could get rocky ahead. We don't know yet. it's up in the air because there's no progress being made.
Okay, so potentially if one were, I don't know, long USD, or at the moment might actually be a good place to get in on the sell side.
Yeah, well, depending, the markets are in a funny situation right now, but yeah, if you wanted to maybe take a look, maybe play a safe haven play, then GBP, JPY could be one to keep an eye out on. If if the markets in the US get rocky from rate rises, you would think the Swiss franc and the JPY would get a bit of strength, and if the UK is a bit weak, then there might be something there.
Okay, I just put a small trade from my account, just small leverage, $500 down GBP, strong along US dollar. From what you're telling me, it doesn't seem like Mark Carney is going to be very eager to raise rates anytime soon. So I don't see why that would support the market. And if you're saying that we still don't have any sort of idea what a Brexit is going to look like, I don't know. Maybe we have a few hundred pips on the downside.
The situation we find ourselves in is that they ultimately leave and don't really leave, which would beg the question, why would you bother in the first place? If you ended up in a situation where you're still in the customs union, but you have no say of what happens in that customs union, I mean, to me, that's I don't know. I think the second referendum is still in place.
It's saving the UK some money, right? Because you are right now one of the big contributors to what the EU is spending. So that's like in Germany, there's talks about, okay, so who is going to pay the share of the UK if they actually, after some slow start, actually do leave, right? So
yeah.
It does have an effect obviously also on all the European markets and also on the euro, because the strain on the European Union will get higher, because I don't think they'll reduce their cost. I think they'll just
Sure, but at what cost would it be if they were to yield to all the demands of the UK? That would be the EU's difficulty in the situation. Obviously, the UK is not. It's not going to be an easy loss to the EU, but at the same time, they've also got to protect the long-term health of the EU, of the members within the EU. So if they yield to the UK and give them what they want, what is the cost from that long-term for the other nations too?
That's to be seen. So that's a discussion that exactly.
That's where we are.
I love how you guys are taking the opposite.
We always have to open a buy position.
Oh, sure. All right. Cool.
I think that to do the dollar long is a good idea, but maybe also against the euro.
Yeah, I've already been short euro dollar for a while already. I don't know. It's just to me the United States is raising interest rates, and everybody's debating, is it going to be 3 or 4 hikes?
Interest rates will be great.
4 times.
So yeah, so say 3 or 4. Yeah. So
Europe.
Just before you go on, a comment here from Ultima Forsan. May will be removed before the next election. We'll see who will replace her.
Who's gonna want that job? Who's gonna knock her off that position?
I do have a friend who is a professional trader in his own profession, and he thinks that the Conservatives want out altogether, so that they're happy. And this is just his point of view. It's not mine. It's not popular point of view, but his particular view is that the Conservatives want out altogether, as in they would want to lose another election, so that they don't they can wash their hands of any potential leaving, and then let Labour.
That, isn't it?
Let Labour take the fall for it. But I would feel that if the Conservatives do have to be in power for this, they would be happy to have May go through another election, have it be a disaster, and then remove her. But that's just my opinion. We wait and see what happens.
Sure. In any case, to me, the Jerome Powell's statement yesterday was rather irrelevant. yeah. Well, to me it was interesting to see him show confidence, show that he's got a sturdy hand and everything like that. But we all know that rates are going up, and if you look at the
4 times.
So, but it doesn't matter if it's 3 times or 4 times, because the markets are maybe hyper focused on that today. But when people are setting their long-term positions, they want to know what the interest rates are going to be in 3 or 4 years from now, 5 years from now. So if there's 3 or 4, if there's 3 this year and then another one in January, so what? I mean, why is that even? It's not even a relevant factor. So to me, I mean, just look at this is the Trump slope over here. This is so from beginning of 2017 when Trump came to power, we see the U.S. dollar just sliding. To me, markets have a tendency to stay stable and create trading ranges. So for now, the U.S. dollar is still pretty oversold, as far as I see. Cool. What else we got on the agenda today? Ihab, would you like to say something about our oil market?
Absolutely. Yes. We can see oil after trying to break through the 65 level, it's just bounced back. We can see from the production supply in US, it has been one of the biggest production of all time in history in US. It's just canceling everything else that's happening in OPEC. OPEC are going on the agreement to freeze the production, but US is just canceling all this out. Now we can see after 365, it's just bounced back to 58 level. And markets start picking it up again. Now it's at 63. Now I will say it's gonna try to break the 65 again at some point very soon. So it's gonna test it very soon. Now all the eyes will be on the inventory coming up later on tomorrow. Is that? So that will make a major point to see if US just trying to reduce their production. Last week they had a minus production. They had which was good push for the oil, just push it back up to the 61.5. Now it is, if we have it again tomorrow, maybe we can see it just testing out the 65 level again.
Okay,
so it's very interesting oil.
So last week the oil inventories were negative inventory, so the supply is going down. But what you're saying is that the U.S. can come up and counteract whatever OPEC is doing to try and push it down.
So Aramco is going planning to make the IPO. It's going to be supposed to be one of the largest IPOs in the world. They're selling, I believe, 5% of their company for $100 billion.
Raise capital, big capital.
Would that have an impact on oil, or are we just looking at buying some Aramco stocks?
Maybe buying some Aramco stocks.
Well, I think we'll have to talk to the trading desk about that one then. So you heard it here first. If you think that eToro should carry Aramco stock in their IPO, go ahead and leave a comment. No promises, but we'll take a look at it for sure. Cool. Anything else before we wrap up? Anybody else want to add anything?
Yeah, about the oil, guys. Bullis, I absolutely agree with you about the situation right now with volumes and all this OPEC stuff. So soon it's gonna be difficult to break like 70, 75 this year for sure. And the suppliers gonna sell much more when the price get up to 70. So, and overall with this forced time, I don't know, with this news from USA yesterday and Italian elections, it's gonna be actually start for the pressure for euro for sure. And I believe we'll see risk off in March for sure. Overall, oil, like commodities at all, and euro is gonna be under pressure.
Yeah. What about, do you think we have any chance? I mean, if we're talking about a risk-off scenario, usually we see safe havens, and actually gold has been holding up pretty well. You think any chance we'll see new highs on gold, maybe 1375, 1380? Is it possible?
I don't think so, but still, guys, keep an eye on actually silver and copper. What can be interesting?
What's happening there? Oh, that's a much nicer trading range, I think, than gold.
Exactly.
Oh boy.
So, and with this in March, it can be driver.
Okay.
For ideas at least, and of course, cryptos, I believe will come down.
Crypto. Anybody have a clue what's happening on crypto? I mean, I just see a lot of up and down movement.
Metals didn't move at all, really, with the stock market correction. Gold couldn't break the high when the stock market corrected 10%.
Right. So yeah, I was looking at that as well. I mean, the stock markets were coming down, and then gold didn't make any new movement.
I don't know. I thought it was strange.
Yeah, indeed. I think that also, in some way, that Bitcoin and the rest of the cryptos might be being held down by the markets as well. Some uncertainty over there, and I'm wondering if if there is some sort of a crash or a major pullback, either due to, I don't know, uncertainty in the European Union, or I don't know, tighter policy from the Federal Reserve. Question is, do investors go to Bitcoin? Do people start looking for a safe haven on cryptocurrencies, or at least to diversify their portfolio, to the tune of 2%, 3%, 5%, even from some of those big hedge funds? That could really move the needle over here.
For sure.
All right, cool. Thanks everybody for participating. It was really enjoyable, and have an awesome day.
Bye.
I'd say keep an eye on Bitcoin. I thought we were going to talk Bitcoin, but keep an eye on it. It's trying to break out of that range. So if we see it failed a couple of times in the last few days, but
finally broke 11,000.
Yeah, if it can well, it went through 11,000 is resistance, obviously, but there's a trend line there. It's trying to break through. So let's see.
Yeah, I've been watching that trend line as well. Right, it's
put it up there for people to see.
You got it. Putting it up now. So this is the trend line that I've been watching, which is basically if you touch the tops, but it also actually it broke out of the major trend line that I was watching. So this is the one that we're looking at the moment, but actually I was looking at this one over here, right, which goes through the middle, which tells you that even if we're on that channel or in that section, we've already had some sort of a breakdown. But this one over here, as long as we can get above 11K and hold it, I think
we're in for a treat.
Yeah. Cool.
Well, March is when it all really kicked off last year. So I think when we were over with you guys in Israel last year, I remember that week we had, which was I think the third week of March. We had the best week in my time at the UK with deposits, and we didn't really know what it was for. We knew Ethereum was obviously moving. We were all interested in it, but we didn't realize what was about to come. So I would hope that, and January and February were really bad last year too. So I'm hoping that we have a little bit of a return next month. I think most people here are a bit bullish for March, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see how it goes.
Will do. All right, cool. Thanks everybody for coming, and have an awesome day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.